Well, it was very profound. I don't know if you've seen Katy Perry talk about it, but she's basically a guru now.
We've got to get to Blue Origin because it's over the top. It's over the top what's happened with these women.
Joe Rogan just obliterated Katy Perry, and the internet's losing its mind. On his podcast, Rogan roasted Perry's failed woman astronaut stunt, calling it a clout-chasing joke and tearing into the absurdity of celebrities treating space like a selfie backdrop. His words? Brutal. She trained for space like I train my dog for a walk. What was supposed to be a feminist space mission turned into a PR meltdown, and Rogan lit the match. Today, we're diving headfirst into this disaster, Katy's space. Dream, Rogan's ruthless takedown, and the wild backlash that's redefining who actually belongs in space. Let's get into it, because Joe didn't just mock her, he exposed her.
Let's not minimize this. Let's celebrate female astronauts.
That's the other thing. There has been female astronauts.
Let's not minimize it.
So, how did Katy Perry go from Firework to floating fireball? It all began with her latest project, a high-profile partnership with a private space company aimed at sending the first all-female celebrity astronaut crew to low Earth orbit. The mission? Symbolic empowerment. The message? If Katy can go to space, so can you. It was called the Starlight Initiative, and Katy wasn't just backing it, she was allegedly going to space herself. She even recorded a heartfelt monologue in a simulated spacesuit, standing in front of a massive rocket, saying things like, "This is for every little girl who looked up and felt small. We're about to go big." It trended everywhere. Feminist. Outlets applauded the move. Mainstream media gushed over Katy's bravery. But the moment critics started digging, things unraveled. Turns out the mission had no scientific purpose, no real astronauts, and the training was a 3-day crash course in a luxury hotel that ended with champagne toasts, not centrifuge training. And then the worst happened. The launch? Canceled, not for safety, because the funding collapsed. Why? Investors backed out after realizing it was mostly a media stunt with zero scientific oversight.
To going up, you said that you needed to go to space to heal. I know you're only a few minutes removed from this.
I feel super connected to love.
Goodness.
I will never be the same.
Then came Rogan. On an episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, mid-conversation about private space travel, Joe casually dropped the bomb. Did you hear about Katy Perry trying to go to space? Yeah, because that's what we need. Pop stars. Orbiting the Earth for clout. The studio burst into laughter. Rogan leaned in. I mean, I love Katy Perry's music, don't get me wrong. Teenage dream slaps. But this is intergalactic nonsense. He wasn't done. She trained for 3 days. I trained my dog longer than that before taking him to the vet. The tone was classic Rogan. Part sarcasm, part satire, part searing truth. But he tapped into a larger frustration, one that many people felt but hadn't said aloud. The idea that celebrities were hijacking science to trend on Twitter. Clips of Rogan's rant exploded on TikTok and X, and the responses? Divided but passionate.
I don't think you can describe it, because, you know what I was saying, it was like quiet, but then also really alive.
What followed was inevitable, a digital dogfight. Fans of Katy Perry came out swinging. Hashtags like #Katy to the stars and Let Women Lead Space trended for hours. Influencers and celebs defended her intentions, arguing that Rogan was just another male voice trying to tear down a powerful woman doing something new, but others weren't buying it. Veteran scientists, astronauts, and even NASA advisors started chiming in, not to mock Katy, but to defend the integrity of space travel. One former NASA engineer wrote, "Space isn't a red carpet. It's a vacuum where people die if things go wrong. Let's not glamorize it for Instagram likes." Meanwhile, Katy's team stayed eerily quiet. Her social feeds, usually full of emojis and outfit posts, went dark. The pressure was on, and the public started asking harder questions.
Feels like you hand-selected a couple of friends to go do this. I mean, she should have been a lottery system like Willy Wonka, where just 7 random people
pull out some guy who's not supposed to be here.
Just a cashier at HEB, someone from MS-13.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Get him in. Someone from Tren de Agua, and Lauren Sanchez, and Gayle King. And
behind the scenes, the situation was spiraling out of control. While Katy Perry was still doing press rounds talking about empowering women in STEM, the actual foundation of the so-called Starlight Initiative was crumbling. Multiple insiders began speaking out, anonymously at first, painting a picture that looked less like a scientific breakthrough and more like a chaotic influencer brand crossover gone horribly wrong. One source close to the project bluntly said it was losing credibility by the hour. Investors, initially dazzled by the PR buzz and celebrity endorsement, began quietly pulling out. A major tech backer demanded a full refund, calling the project a logistical nightmare with glitter. On top, even the PR firm managing Katy's image tried to sever ties, vanishing from calls, dodging questions, and eventually scrubbing any mention of the campaign from their client roster. Then came the whistleblower bombshell. An anonymous team member claimed that there was never going to be a real launch. No astronaut training, no viable spacecraft, no trajectory plan, nothing. Just a high-budget, highly filtered publicity stunt timed conveniently to coincide with Perry's upcoming album release. The space mission, they said, was just another track in the marketing playlist. But the most shocking twist? Leaked internal emails suggested Katy herself didn't even know how fake it all was. In one now viral message, a frustrated project lead allegedly wrote, "She thinks we have a backup rocket. We don't even have a test rocket. She's out here talking about spacesuits, and we haven't cleared basic safety protocols." Once those emails hit the internet, the media couldn't stay quiet. News outlets that had once hyped the mission as a bold new frontier flipped the narrative overnight. Suddenly, headlines read, "Pop star's space dream crashes back to Earth." When influencers enter orbit, who pays the price? Starlight fades, Katy Perry's space fantasy implodes. And Joe Rogan, he didn't rant. He didn't yell. He just posted a meme. Katy's face photoshopped onto a SpaceX rocket. Mid-explosion. Caption, "Influencer propulsion test failed. The internet ate it up."
I'm much better now that the ladies are back from space.
What were they up there, 10 minutes?
This wasn't just about Katy Perry making a questionable career move. It hit a nerve because it exposed something deeper, something bigger. The entire debacle became a flashpoint for a growing cultural crisis. Are we turning science into spectacle? Are we watching the slow transformation of real, rigorous milestones like space travel into glossy, influencer-driven reality TV? Because let's be honest, space used to be the domain of elite scientists, engineers, and astronauts who spent years training to even qualify for consideration. Now, it's hashtags, promo videos, and red carpet-style launch events where the biggest concern seems to be the camera angle, not the countdown sequence. And in this new era, where Musk tweets rocket memes and Bezos rides phallic-shaped shuttles, the line between exploration and exploitation is blurring fast. Space is no longer just the final frontier, it's the next marketing frontier. And when you've got pop stars leading missions, you have to ask, where exactly does real science fit into all of this? That's where Joe Rogan's viral moment struck gold. He didn't launch into some sexist tirade. That's what critics wanted to accuse him of. But what he actually said, it was sharper, more uncomfortable, and way harder to dismiss. Rogan's rant wasn't anti-women in space, it was anti-bullshit in science. "If this is the standard for sending people to space," he said, "then my podcast producer's going next." He's got more followers than half of NASA. Brutal, blunt, and weirdly on point. What Rogan did, maybe unintentionally, was put a spotlight on how far we've drifted from merit-based achievement. The idea that a celebrity's Instagram following could be more important than actual astronaut credentials isn't just insane, it's dangerous. And millions of people agreed. Comments flooded in. Scientists, ex-astronauts, even aerospace engineers weighed in, saying they'd been warning about this for years. That science was losing its grip, that popularity was replacing proficiency, that we're letting influencers hijack innovation. Because when likes matter more than launch codes, and when a spacesuit becomes just another fashion statement, we're not exploring space. We're parodying it. And that's exactly what Joe Rogan called out.
Because yesterday, 6 celebrity women, including Gayle King, Katy Perry, and Lauren Sanchez, who is the plastic fiance of Jeff Bezos, took a Blue Origin rocket into space on a trip that lasted from takeoff to touchdown less than 12 minutes in total.
After days of radio silence while the internet tore her to shreds, Katy Perry finally reemerged. This time on Instagram Live. No makeup team, no glam backdrop, just her sitting cross-legged, eyes visibly puffy, clearly emotional, her tone dead, serious. "I believed in the dream. I still do," she began. "This wasn't about me. It was about what we could represent for young girls, for women in STEM, for the future of space." She didn't dodge responsibility. She admitted mistakes, that she didn't grasp the full scope of the technical challenges, that maybe, just maybe, she put too much faith in the wrong people and got swept up in the headlines. "I didn't understand everything I should have," she confessed. but my intentions were real. Then came the surprise. Joe Rogan has every right to joke. I get it, but I do hope someday we can have a conversation instead of a punchline. Boom. Instant split in the comments. Some fans rushed to defend her vulnerability, saying she was brave to speak up and still believe in the mission. Others weren't buying it, calling it a calculated move, a classic PR pivot wrapped in Instagram tears. But one thing was undeniable. The narrative had shifted. No longer just a meme or a meltdown, Katy's response added a layer of humanity to the chaos. Whether it saved her image or buried it deeper was still up for debate.
Up there because what you're doing is you're like really finding the love for yourself, because you got to trust in yourself on this journey, and then you're feeling the love when you come down, for sure, and you're feeling that strength. So I feel really connected to that strong divine feminine right now.
Truly, it's like they're right back from Nam. What did they do? They got in their special Oscar de la Renta designed suits, laid down in a capsule, and came back in 10 minutes, you guys.
You know a scandal's big when Hollywood starts picking sides. Miley Cyrus tweeted a vague, "We're all just trying to reach new heights. Let's lift each other up." Fans assumed it was about Katy. Meanwhile, Neil deGrasse Tyson, yes, the actual astrophysicist, went on CNN and said, "I admire ambition, but ambition without knowledge is dangerous, especially in space." Even Elon Musk responded on X with a cryptic, "0G won't fix zero experience." Savage, but the most surprising defender? Lady Gaga. She posted a throwback photo of her own canceled spaceflight attempt and wrote, "Dreamers fall, but we always get back up." It was official. This was no longer a Joe Rogan versus Katy Perry story. It was a cultural lightning rod.
Absolutely insane. I don't know if it's just woman cringe, Hollywood cringe, or elitist billionaire privilege cringe, but it's absolutely insane.
Flynn, I got
with
you.
her Daisy.
I got you, Flynn.
Gotcha.
Stuffed animals.
The moon. You guys, I will have to tell you, look at the moon. That's amazing. Wow, look at the blue line.
Oh my God.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's amazing.
The memes? Relentless. Katy Perry's face edited onto Buzz Lightyear, to irrelevance and beyond. Tweets mocking her training. Edits of Rogan in a NASA suit saying, "0G Rogan reporting for duty." But in the chaos, something strange happened. People started talking seriously about who should go to space. Teachers, scientists, innovators. A movement began trending. How do you earn your orbit? People wanted more than a photo op. They wanted missions with meaning. Rogan's clip, once viral for the joke, was now being shared with captions like, "He's got a point." And Katy? Well, her followers spiked. Even in a flop, the spotlight remained.
Right, it's so amazing. Like, they went to see space. We're supposed to see them, right? Like, they admired the universe, and what they were expecting was for us to admire the fact that they were rich enough and famous enough to have been granted this utterly, utterly vacuous experience from which they learned absolutely nothing.
Today, the Starlight Initiative is officially suspended. Katy's team says it's being reevaluated for ethical and scientific alignment. Translation, we're scrapping this before it costs more careers. Joe Rogan, he hasn't said much since the roast, just one word in a tweet. Yikes. But the impact remains. Katy Perry is rumored to be pivoting her efforts to a new documentary about women in science, hopefully with real scientists this time. And Rogan, he's still podcasting, still provoking, still riding the wave of a cultural shift he didn't start, but definitely amplified. So, did Katy Perry reach for the stars? Or just crash into her own ego? Rogan didn't just mock her, he punctured the fantasy. Maybe space isn't about science anymore. Maybe it's just the next influencer playground. And if that's true, who's next to blast off? Stick around, because our next video exposes another celeb trying to turn zero gravity into zero credibility. Hit subscribe. This ride's just getting started.